Okay, the last video that I made, as I said, made me a little bit upset. So today we're gonna talk about something more cheerful, okay? So I want to go into three topics. First one, I'll put a timestamp down below. The first topic I'm gonna talk about is why, when, and what made me start this YouTube channel. The second topic is about the entire process. I started at the very last day of February, and today is May 1st, so it took me 2 months to get to where I am. I want to share with my audience my entire experience, and also I want to encourage people who are interested in geopolitical topics and have something to say about themselves, about what's going on in the world, to also maybe try to go down this path, because I found many things down in the comment section. I reply to all the comments, okay? And I found many of the things people said to be quite interesting. And when I go into their channels, there's no video in it. So please, why don't you guys try to make something, say something? It doesn't have to be all that well made, but let us know, what you are thinking about what's going around in the world. And then the third item I want to talk about today is my own channel, which I have close to 10,000 subscriber now. I want to talk about some YouTube statistics and demographics. So basically, who's also watching my YouTube channel with you guys? What kind of people? I find it to be very entertaining, by the way. So let's get to it. All right. I want to tell you guys exactly when and what made me start this YouTube channel. All right. There was a clip that I played in one of my earliest video. I want to show you guys now.
So 3 weeks ago, there was quite a touchy incident that happened right outside of Xiamen in China, which a Taiwan patrol vessel ran and sank a Chinese fishing vessel. And 2 escaped and 2 died. And the interesting thing is that the Taiwanese government is not willing to release the video footage of the incident, which they're by law, Taiwanese law, to all carry, recording device when they, do this kind of patrols. And they have the footage, and then they submitted it, and then they came out and said that, well, we don't have any footage. So that's basically a pure lie. And when the fishermen go there to ask for the return of the body, the Taiwanese government refused and actually force the family to say that you need to cremate the bodies in Taiwan, which is very suspicious. And then the Chinese government went over to say that, well, then can we inspect the bodies with you? Because we don't trust that this is a simple incident. Can we inspect the bodies and see what's going on? And then the Taiwanese government refused as well.
So I want to leave whatever event that is to my audience own imagination. I believe many people don't see that as something very suspicious. And you do have to watch my other videos to understand what I am getting at, okay? And it's not just me. The entire geopolitics commentators in China and many also in Taiwan smell something fishy here, alarmingly fishy. And to me, that was the moment that I told myself that, okay, it's time for me to start my own YouTube channel and talk about different political events around the world from a Chinese perspective. And for people who want to say that perhaps, Richard, you think too much. This is just a normal event, an accident. I will put it this way to see if you guys understand, okay? China, a century ago, we are very backward and disconnected from the world. And when CCP came to power 80 years ago, we also continue to isolate ourselves. and we didn't really open up ourselves to the world until the 1980s, okay? And that's when our economy start to grow very fast and we start to interact. People start to become more wealthy and go to different places and settle around the planet. Today, if you want to look at China, we might not be the most sophisticated thinkers because of how disconnected we were in basically world history. The East Asia is divided away from the Mediterranean, right? But today, we have the biggest economic footprint around the world. There are Chinese businessmen and you know scholars going around the planet. We are the biggest trading partner to over 120 countries, I believe. So imagine today's China is like those big particle accelerators. You use to send a particle over, and then you collide it with an object, and you put sensors right at the end of the collider to detect what kind of particle it is, the structure, the composition of that particle. And in order to get the most accurate and most informative information regarding that particle, you have to put a lot of sensors at the end of the collider, all right? And if you are a smaller country with a smaller geopolitical and economic footprint, you do not have a full range of sensor at the end. So some of the information, geopolitical topics, you understand immediately, but some you don't because it's just not within your scope of information. Your culture is just not there. But China, on the other hand, we are like a device with a huge amount of sensors at the very end. Okay, it's not saying that the way we things are correct, but I can say that in many ways we are more inclusive. We can see patterns going around the planet which other countries might not see. As you know, the current world history, especially the modern history, is very Western centric. And British Empire, for example, can go into a country, do something very imperialistic, and write down in their history book certain way that things happen in that way. And the local people there will probably disagree and say that, well, this is not what happened. So what China is doing today is we are more or less reconstructing part of especially the modern world history, and we want to put out there an alternative perspective of the world. And many things are quite different if you look at from a China or global South perspective. And I think that is something that is very interesting to share with you guys. So here's a quick rundown of what happened in the last 2 months, okay? Trying to make this YouTube channel work. I bought my first ever camera online exactly February 29th, so the last day of February. And it was a used camera, and it didn't work. And I have to buy an extra lens here. You can see it to get a better atmosphere in this room. I bought this huge, hideous looking studio lighting, which is pointing at me right now and kind of hot as well. I have to record the video in the morning. If I do it in the afternoon here in Los Angeles, it's not even summer yet, so it's going to be painful. I bought this microphone. It didn't work without this thing. I think it's an amplifier. I bought a bunch of cables and I returned a bunch of cables because I keep getting the wrong ones. The plan here is actually $3. $3 to add some atmosphere to it, or some neon lighting behind me to give it a better vibe. And I think the most difficult thing is definitely with the video editing software because I never edit a single video in my life. I took a look at different software out there, and at the end I end up using CapCut, which is To a lot of people, this is one of the most easiest software to learn. But I think US might be banning this software as well because the mother company is TikTok Big Dance. So I'm not sure. I might have to start learning a new software eventually. Now, it took me about 3 weeks to spot all these equipments, set them up, and learn how to use them. And then another few days for me to learn how to use the video editing tool CapCut. And on exactly March 26th, I post my first ever YouTube video online. And according to YouTube statistic, okay, it's kind of discouraging. It takes an average person about a year to 15, 16 months to get to monetization requirement, which is 1,000 subscriber and 4,000 watch hours. I mean, over a year. The Ukraine war might be over by then. So I took a look and see, can I do it faster? And what amazed me is that in exactly 2 weeks, on April 10th, I didn't even post that many videos, but in just 2 weeks, I reached monetization requirement. So for geopolitical enthusiasts out there, do not get discouraged by YouTube. Just give it a try. If this Asian kid sitting in front of the screen right now can do it in 2 weeks, I think you can as well. Now, onto the fun stuff. When you start posting videos, it will take YouTube several weeks to figure out your audience base and then run you some statistic, okay? And many of these statistics I find to be very entertaining. Okay, look at here first, the age group. Most of my audience here, look at that. 31.5% of my audience, the largest age group, 65 years old and above. And under that, 21.8% are 55 to 64 years old. So half of my audience base is older than 55 years old. And after that, 18.6, and down here, that's my age group. I'm 39 years old, 15.9% only. And if you add that together, okay, 80% of my viewers are older than me. And which is not good because according to YouTube, it is best to have an audience base between 25 to 34, something like that, because that is the largest amount of YouTube audience. So I need to find ways to attract younger audience. And now look at this. Gender. Okay, that makes sense. 90% of my audience are male and less than 10% of my audience are female. And it almost made me wonder if the world is run by women only, maybe it'll be more peaceful. It's actually a valid argument because male is usually more territorial and aggressive. Maybe all our politicians are female, then we will have less war. And now look at the geography here. It's not surprising United States is my biggest audience, but underneath there's Canada, Malaysia, and Australia. Well, Canada and Australia population is not that big. I think combined they're less than United Kingdom, which is less than both of these countries. And then also Malaysia. How did Malaysia get up there? And then look at Singapore. Malaysia has 33 million population and Singapore only has 5 million. And Singapore's audience is as much as United Kingdom here. Now, that is surprising to me, and I thought about it. The only explanation I can bring out is that there's a lot of people who use VPN from China who's routing their internet through Singapore. Maybe that's why Chinese audience are shown here as Singapore. That is one of the only possible explanation I have. And down here we have India. I want to make video about India, because there's a few Chinese professor who talks about India, Indonesia, and they have something very interesting to say. But it's disappointing here. I thought India has a huge user base here on YouTube, but only 1.6% of my audience are Indian. So I'm not sure if I should actually make video about India at all. And okay, look at here. We can also look at cities, okay? Look at that Singapore comes out on top again, and then Kuala Lumpur. This, okay, as American, this is unacceptable because we need to send, let's say, George Soros over there and some NGOs to do some regime change, okay? Those people are not supposed to be watching my content, which is kind of semi anti-West. That is not good. And look at Australia, Sydney, Melbourne, and then we have Canada. That's just not acceptable. Why is there so many Australians watching my channel? They're supposed to be US allies. I mean, CIA need to just make more think tanks right there. We need to teach the Australians how to think in the correct way. Okay, we need more NGOs and think tanks there, definitely. Okay, now the people who watch my channel also watch these channel. Okay, look at that. Okay, I watch Danny sometimes. There's the Judge, the Ren. I watch that. Inside China Business, I watch chat sometimes. Geopolitical trends, geopolitical economic report. Yes, but here, yeah, military somewhere channel, redacted. I stopped watching that, but I might pick up later. Reports on China. Yeah, I pretty much watched all these channels before. Okay, now to the last part. In my first month of YouTube, I got 32,000 views, 34,000 watch hours, and over 8,000 subscribers. So I guess that's not too bad. If you guys want to start a geopolitical channel, now is the time. You never know what you can achieve. To that end, I will see you guys in the next video.